Assembly is the name given to the section in which all the parts that compose the upper and the sole are united in order to construct the shoe. There are several ways of doing this union. Each one is designated with a type of construction, and in any case we will have an own sequence of operations of assembly of the upper on the last, associated to a certain method of fixation of the sole. A method of assembly of the upper can be combined with one or several methods of fixation of the sole, originating like this a variety of types of construction. Each type of construction is associated to a certain group of characteristics related with the use, the fashion, the price, that will condition its choice for the produced shoe. We will speak about these characteristics in particular for each one of the construction types presented. California construction system. The California construction is usually associated to footwear where the comfort function is predominant. This effect is gotten by the use of an inner sole of quite flexible assembly. In a very general way, the upper is stitched, still in the stitching section, to a welt and the inner sole. It is last, being the welt turned later over the assembly inner sole and cemented the sole. In the stitching section, after the placement and molding of the stiffener and the toe puff, the linings are cemented, getting the upper ready for the fixation of the welt and later for the fixation of the assembly inner sole. Here we present the main operations of the California construction system. Preparation of the upper in the stitching section. Humidifying. To last. To apply glue and turn the welt. To cement the welt. To prepare the assembly base and the sole to apply glue. To cement the sole. To clean the glue. Last pulling. Basic operations. To stitch the welt of the upper. This operation is usually made in a post-bed single needle stitching machine. The use of this equipment facilitates the rotation and the handling of the piece. The stitching of the welt begins and it always finishes inside the upper, in the area of the shoe sides. Like this, the amendment is imperceptible after the assembly of the shoe. The welt is skived to avoid heavy thickness that later would make difficult the operation of turning the welt. To stitch the inner sole to the upper. This operation is usually made in a post-bed single needle stitching machine and begins with the fixation of the inner sole in 4 points: on the toe, on the back counter and on the area of the shoe sides, internal and external. After the execution of this operation, we proceed to the stitching of the inner sole to the upper. In order to facilitate the execution of the operation, the upper and the inner sole possess stings or re-entrances that serve as orientation points during the stitching process. The first phase of the assembly process in this style is the placement of the laces in the upper and the humidification of the upper. The objective of the humidification of the upper is to avoid that the flour of the skin breaks and to make the upper more malleable, facilitating the lasting. To last the upper. The lasting operation consists on wearing the upper with the last. Here the employee introduces the last in the upper and with the help of a spoon fits the upper to the last and simultaneously he articulates the last. In this construction system, it is fundamental in this phase that the stitching is correctly positioned along the corner of the last, because any deviation has an important effect in the final aspect of the shoe. In the case of verifying that the shoe is twisted, rectifies the operation, twisting the shoe lightly with the hands in order to position it correctly. Following, he readjusts the laces in order to seal the shoe correctly to the last. To reboot and to straighten the stitchings. This operation has the objective to reduce the thickness in the area of the overlapping of the pieces and close the corner of the last. This operation is made with the help of a hammer and the application of heat. The application of the heat dryer is used. To apply glue in the welt and turn. In this phase, the employee applies glue with a brush in the welt and in the area of the welt in the inner sole. After the application of the glue, he pulls the welt with the pincers, pre-positioning it for the cementing. reactivate and cement the weld. After the drying of the glue, it is necessary to proceed to its reactivation to allow the cementing of the weld. The operation here observed is made manually by the employee that pulls the weld with the pincers and proceeds to its cementing, always maintaining the same margin around the shoe. So, in order the operation to be considered correctly executed, it is necessary that the width of the weld after the execution of the operation is constant and that there is no room between the weld and the inner sole. To put the shoe in the oven for sealing and to reboot. This operation is made to allow a correct sealing of the shoe to the last. It consists on the placing of the upper mounted on the last to an appropriate temperature during some minutes. The temperature of the stabilizer will have to be in agreement with the skin used. In general, this process is executed passing the upper mounted on the last in a tunnel designated by stabilizing oven. After this stabilization in the oven, the shoe still goes by the heat dryer with the objective of removing any existing wrinkle, being in simultaneous, manually rebooted in the areas of stitchings overlapping in order to eliminate excessive thickness that can interfere in the subsequent operations. To fluff the area of the welt and to clean. This operation is made with the objective of preparing the assembly base for the cementing of the sole to the shoe. It consists of removing the flour of the skin from the welt. After the execution of the fluffing operation, we remove the dust to be able to proceed to the operation of glue applying. To apply glue in the shoe and in the sole. The glue is applied in the whole area of the base of the shoe and in the sole. It is in this phase that the shoe shank is applied in the shoe. Reactivate and to press the sole. After the reactivation of the glue, the sole is pointed manually to the upper and later the shoe is placed in a press for sticking the sole. The time and temperature of reactivation of the sole and of the upper depend on the type of used material and of its color. The materials with a clear color need more time of reactivation and/or more temperature. To clean glue from the shoe. With the accomplishment of several operations which involve the glue use, it becomes necessary an operation of cleaning in order to remove the glue residues. This operation nowadays is made with the help of machines equipped with brushes which facilitate the removal of the glue. The operator must always do this with the shoe in the last to facilitate execution of the operation. He will execute this operation with movements that make possible to verify that the glue is being removed. Last pulling. Before proceeding to the last pulling operation, it is necessary to loosen the laces of the shoe to facilitate the removal of the shoe from the last. For the execution of this operation, last pulling machines can be used or the shoe can be last pulled manually. This operation is the last to execute in the chain of assembly operations. In this phase we conclude the execution of the assembly and the shoe is ready to transit for the finish.